I bet you can think of that one friend or colleague who always gets late. You have to invite them to meetings 1 hour earlier, otherwise, they won't show up on time. In Kenya, one of the wedding customs is to invite the guests earlier by an hour, because if you don't, then you'll have to delay your wedding to wait for your guests to arrive. That says something about the brand and the culture on keeping time. I remember one day at work showing up to a meeting 1 minute late, and I apologized to everyone in the room. We had 5 people, and what I said was, "Hey guys, I'm very sorry for taking 1 minute of your time. I got caught up somewhere." And someone rightly corrected me, "Hey, it's not 1 minute of our time, it's 6 minutes because we're five, you're one person. We had to wait an extra minute. And so in total, these are 6 minutes and not just 1 minute." And he was right. Being on time is something most people desire, but despite our best intentions, inevitably, we sometimes get late. Grace got a gig at one of the fast food joints, and on her first day of work, she called her boss and said, "Hey, I'm sorry that I'm going to be slightly late." And the boss was like, "What do you mean you're going to be slightly late? It's 5 minutes to your shift." And she said, "Well, I happened to run into some friends and kind of decided to have some dinner before I showed up." And the boss said, "You show up or no job. See you in 5 minutes or don't show up at all." And in this case, guess what happened? Come on, I'm waiting for you. Well, Grace didn't show up and she lost her job. Let me switch things up a bit. Back in 2013, I had the pleasure of visiting Paris for a dance festival. I got there and spent a weekend, and on the Sunday when the festival was ending, I made travel plans to go back to Berlin, which is where I was going to meet up with my friends. So the festival was ending at about 6 a.m. My flight was at 7:30, and I told myself, sure, I will just get a train from the place that I was to the main airport. And I left the dance festival at around 4 a.m., went to the station nearby, and just imagine my surprise to find out that the train wasn't operational until around 6 a.m. Oh my God. So this presented a very interesting situation for me. I had imagined coming from Nairobi that the transport system would be 24/7 in a city like Paris. And so I put my bets on this. Of course, there were other alternatives like taking a taxi. But here's the thing, I only had €5 with me. And so taking a taxi, private means, wasn't something on the table. Anyway, so at around 5:30, I finally saw some people come out and walk into the train station, and I followed them thinking, okay, we still have a chance. We can still make it to the airport. So, train comes, and even though it wasn't going to go directly to the airport, I saw there was a place that I could alight, connect to another train, and then get to the airport. Fingers crossed. You get into the train, get to this transit point, and the train at the connecting station took an extra 30 minutes. And so it's 30 minutes. I'm looking at my clock, telling myself, oh my God, it's already 6:30. and the train hasn't arrived. Will I make it on time? It's finally here. I'm so excited. We begin the journey at around 6:45, and to the airport was less than 30 minutes. So I was still praying and hoping, please, 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 let me get to the airport on time. So you get to the airport, it's around 7 at this point. Then what do you know? The airport is quite huge, and the place where the driver um, decides to leave us is quite a distance to the place where you board the plane. So I'm there running, running, running with my bag. And I get to the counter and say, "Excuse me, madam, I have a flight to Berlin. It's leaving in a few minutes. Please let me on board." And he's like, "I'm sorry, sir, but we just closed the gates 5 minutes ago. I cannot allow you to board." "Please, madam, isn't there a way? I know the plane hasn't yet left. If you could just allow me, I will run as fast as I can. Please, 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 please allow me to get on the plane." Like, "I'm sorry, sir. This was our final call for boarding. It happened 5 minutes ago, and there's nothing we can do right now." Imagine my disappointment and the state that I was in. Here I am. I missed my flight by 5 minutes. I don't have any money to book another flight. And the next flight was happening 10 hours from then. And I only had €5. I'm in a foreign country, €5, 10 hours between me and the next option to go to my destination. This wasn't planned. Okay, so what are the lessons from this? Lessons from Paris. If you arrive late, you will miss your flight. If you make an assumption that the train system is 24/7 in a big city, you might be in for a rude shock and you will miss your flight. But on a more serious note, let's transition. What did I learn? I had every intent to get to the airport on time, but intent is not the same as reality. Point number 2, it's very important to evaluate the costs of the assumptions you make. In this case, the cost was $400 for another flight, 10 hours staying at an airport. Third thing, it's important to identify, clarify, and plan for risky assumptions you make. I assumed that the train system would be operational throughout the night, and based on that, I put my entire life, all my eggs in that basket, and look where it led me. Okay, where do we go from here? This coming week, I want you to have a 7-day trial period where you're going to be ridiculously punctual for all your professional, all your social commitments, and see what you learn. See if you manage to make it. And the second thing, what's your single biggest challenge or tip when it comes to being punctual, being on time? Share that in the comments below. Thank you very much. I hope this was helpful, and I hope it inspires you to be on time more. As always, I'd like to challenge you to grow the good in your life and grow the good in other people's lives. Evans, keep time, Musomi. If you're here, I have a bonus. I once had a mantra that goes 5 minutes is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. I put links in the blog posts that can tell you more about this. And I also put a link to 20 jokes that make people who are punctual go nuts. about being late.